camera scripts for television made in the 1960s can give us a fascinating insight into how these programs were made. Especially when episodes are missing, they can help give us an idea of how these episodes might have looked on screen. But every now and again, we must be on the lookout for ghosts. These ghosts are the bits of scripts that are remnants of previous drafts, and when you dig through the pages of Doctor Who's camera scripts, there are more ghosts than you'd think. Some ghosts will be example of character names that got changed during production. For example, in The Wheel in Space, Gemma Corwin was originally called Nell, and Leo Ryan was called Tom Stone. And in the scripts, these names still crop up. A similar situation peppers the Fury from the Deep scripts, where Mr. Quill was originally named Mr. Swan, but this was changed after a character called Swan appeared in Enemy of the World. Despite most of these references being amended, Mr. Swan still pops up from time to time. There are also ghosts of last-minute cast changes. When Sergeant Walters got dropped from the final episode of The Invasion, Corporal Benton took over his role in the episode. On the page, there's still the occasional line and direction intended for the sergeant. Dialogue ghosts crop up in a number of scripts. Usually this is dialogue planned and dropped during final rehearsals. In the script for episode 7 of The Evil of the Daleks, there is additional dialogue where the Doctor tries to work out how the Daleks will force him to go along with their plans. Two of the most famous script ghosts are George and Margaret, characters who were supposed to appear in The Celestial Toymaker but had to be written out. Even though a lot of rewriting was done to remove them, their names still pop up on a couple of pages, giving a few small clues to the lost earlier versions of that story. There are many other examples, but the one that I'd like to dig into in a bit more detail is part of a wider script mystery. The 10th Planet was William Hartnell's final regular story, and the production team were faced with a sudden challenge ahead of the recording of episode 3. William Hartnell took ill and was unavailable for the studio recording that week. Last-minute rewrites were required to remove the Doctor from the action, replacing him with a stand-in showing the Doctor collapsing before spending the rest of the episode unconscious in the bunk room. The Doctor's original role in episode 3 is something that fans have speculated about for years. It's often assumed that Ben and Barclay's dialogue about the impact of using the Z-bomb on Mondas was originally meant for the Doctor. This is supported by how the scene plays out in Jerry Davis's novel adaptation. This would also have the Doctor and Ben being taken away and locked up at the same time, with the Doctor then falling unconscious in the bunk room. In the broadcast episode, there is a short scene early on with Ben and Polly in the bunk room with the unconscious Doctor. In the script, this is marked as scene 1C. Later scenes on that set are given their own numbers, so this indicates that this short scene was added at the last minute. We might also have a ghost that made it through to the final episode. During the scene in the radiation room, Dyson wonders the old man could have been right about waiting for Mondas to burn up. The original version of the script likely did have the Doctor giving this theory, but Ben took over that dialogue and reports it as if something the Doctor has said to him off screen. So Dyson's line does make sense, sort of. Camera scripts can also have evidence where dialogue has been cut earlier in production. As Polly encourages Barclay to help, she says it's a good time to see Ben, and then there is a gap in the dialogue. Could this have said Ben and the Doctor in an earlier draft? The Doctor is largely absent from the rest of the action of episode 3. In the broadcast version, while he's mentioned now and again and can be seen in the background on the bed, he plays no active role in this episode. But when we get to the conclusion of episode 3, the final tracking room scenes are full of ghosts of the Doctor. At the start of the tracking room scene, after Ben's sabotage attempt has been discovered, the stage directions have the Doctor in the room under guard. As Cutler threatens him, Barclay was meant to look towards the Doctor and Ben. Later, when in the broadcast episode Polly pleads with Ben to wake up, the stage direction has her whispering to the Doctor. In the novel, at this point Polly asks, "Doctor, can't we do something?" As the countdown proceeds, there is the faintest trace on the page of cut dialogue, which, judging by the impressions remaining, could have been for the Doctor. Polly's later line, "We'll know if you succeeded in just a few seconds," is laid out in the script in a way that hints that this line was originally meant for someone else. The spacing, where her name sits on the page, covers space for a longer name. Now, while we don't have early drafts for episode 3, there is an earlier draft for episode 4, and in that, this particular line does indeed belong to the Doctor. The ghost of the changes to episode 3 echo into the early pages for the camera script of episode 4, the Doctor appearing in shots for the reprise, having the Doctor in the tracking room ahead of his dramatic return a few pages later. For all this, what do we know about the Doctor's role in episode 3? It's likely he gave a speech about Mondas burning up, got locked up with Ben, passed out on the bed, and returned weakened for the final scene, observing and commenting on the rocket launch with Polly. If you're interested in another ghost of Doctor Who, the script for episode 4 of the Dalek Invasion of Earth has the Doctor working with Susan and David to disarm the Dalek bomb. But that is another story.